Well, joining us this morning is the president and CEO of the Venango Area Chamber of Commerce. It's Susan Williams. Hi, Susan. How are you?
I'm fabulous today.
How about every day?
Oh, well, most every day, but today's especially a good day. We're going to be mailing out our May newsletter, maybe before the end of the day. If not before the end of the day, it will get over to the post office tomorrow, but shoot to see if we can get it there today. So lots of good news to share. A lot of times we're talking about things coming up, and there's a few of those in here, but we've got a lot of great stuff to report. We had a very, very, very busy April. And so some of that is worth telling people about.
There's always good stuff. Give us a quick snapshot. We do this from time to time of how much work goes into the newsletter. I think sometimes people think, oh, you just send it out, but it's so much work to put it together every month.
There's a lot involved, and I have a great team. So as I was busy at meetings the last couple of days, I certainly created some content and had some input in planning. But my team was really kind of boots on the ground, getting everything put together and in. So today that will hit the printer. The printer works overtime, so we'll have hours of printing for that to come off the newsletter. And last night I came in and spent some time collating all those inserts. So I had at least a couple of hours into that and getting the labels ready. So today it will be all hands on deck as we get those put together and carried down and put in the hods and hauled over with 17 big boxes of newsletters. 534, I think I saw today, will go out in the mail. So there's a lot of physical work that goes in, but certainly the thing that we value the most about still doing a printed newsletter is and it's available digitally too. So if you haven't seen the newsletter, pop on our website, you can find it there. Is that it really inspires us to want to be talking to our members about what they're doing, what news they have to share, to be telling their stories. We're always looking for more. So some of those we have to seek out, and some submit stories and things to us.
So are you saying you have to handle hundreds of newsletters up and down 102 steps?
There's only 101 steps.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay. Well, the good news is we have a lot of tote bags. So we get them kind of packaged and ready to go so that we make one trip down with each newsletter. But last month I had a young man that was in here volunteering for me, and with just like 2 trips, we got them all downstairs. And then we use the tools of the trade. So we have carts and we drive them over to the post office. So while there is a lot of physical work involved, we take advantage of any helpers and any tools we can to make it easier to get them there. So.
That's great. We've talked before, business owners can struggle with telling their story and promoting themselves. And some of it is just, that's not who we are. And, I don't know. And some of it is, I just don't know how to do that.
What we really love about the way we do our newsletter is that we're happy to have people submit something to us. But first of all, we're looking for stories, not advertising. We sell advertising, and we can help those members who clearly want to do advertising. But for those who are, humble, modest, whatever you call it, we're happy to talk to them about why their story and what they're doing, how they're expanding or how they're celebrating is really, really critical to others to hear that, to see that, particularly to our young entrepreneurs, our young business people. It creates a sense of pride in our region that is really, really important. So they're doing people a favor by helping us share their story. And then all we really need is the facts. We need a short paragraph, a few sentences, some bullet points. We can turn that into the story that they want to tell. With enough advance warning, they might get a chance to proofread it. Otherwise, we're going to do our best to make sure that it shines well for them. Love to have a photo, or at the very least a logo, something to accompany what they're giving us to share.
That's wonderful. And again, that's why you are there. That's why your staff's there to help with these things. So don't be afraid to call the chamber and ask for help. Ask to have that conversation.
Well, and we hope that anything we prepare for our newsletter is something transferable to the other things they do. Occasionally someone will pop something off of their website or their communication and send to us, but it can work the other way. If they're not used to doing those things and we prepare something for them, particularly for our newer members, we love to profile them on a member to member article. So we have a nice little interview. We can send it to them in hard copy, but we also have a link where they can look at I think we give them about 8 to 10 questions. We take some combination of those answers and use those for a full page member to member kind of information page. So they can then take that and use that, whether it's for, something like the annual business review and forecast, or, just something to share on their website. We can put that together, and that's something that then they can use as a tool.
Let's talk about a big event that took place last week. Flex Presents. Yeah.
Yes. What a wonderful evening. We had a full house. We were out at Forever Farms in Franklin. Interesting venue that a lot of people didn't even know about. So we heard from so many people. I've never been here. So we were really excited to show not just our young professionals, but everyone that attended a new, beautiful place in our region. And we had 13 nominees, all very, very deserving of recognition. And then, of course, we always honor one person as our Young Professional of the Year. We think we have a super fair process. Each of the nominees is asked to give us their bio, a little bit of information, and record a video on their own. And then we send those off to chamber volunteers from across the country who don't know any of the nominees. We ask them to evaluate based on what the nominee has provided, and they rank them. We give them a little bit of a ranking season based on Flex. And they chose Caleb Lewis, who is a wonderful young man here who is doing a lot in the community. Many know him as an artist. He's a makeup artist, and he works in our local coffee shop here at Woods and River. And he founded the Hannah Project, which is a nonprofit in memory of his sister. So they're, he very deserving. Again, we had a great group this year, like always. And I don't know what our total over our, maybe 15 years or so of honoring them, but another celebration of why it's a great place to be a young professional.
That's wonderful. And just continuing along those lines, you've got, I can't believe this, the wrap up of leadership program coming up.
We do. We've got our last session, which is not this coming Wednesday, but the one after. And then we've got graduation the week after.
Wow.
So we're looking for people to join our next class. In the newsletter, there'll be an application, but that's available online too. So we can hardly wait to see who's going to join us for our next year. Start with a retreat in September, and I think we have that date established. So if anybody's wondering, because that is an overnight commitment, a day and a half, and then we'll have a monthly session for the next 9 months. So great year.
How long do you spend kind of going through the notes? Because I think we've talked before where all the participants get to kind of submit their thoughts over the year, but is that's going to be interesting to go through and just kind of see what people say, what maybe their favorite topic was or experience, and kind of figure out, what next year is going to look like.
Yeah. Well, we do take a good bit of time immediately following each session to look at the surveys and reviews. And then as we're planning the next year, the really interesting thing for us is we really try to stay balanced, because in any session, we will have people, I think every session, we have at least one person and sometimes several that say, this was my favorite one. They may have already said another one was their favorite one, and they get to this one, better, even better yet. And then we almost always have someone that says, well, I might have rather heard this, or, this was harder for me. Everyone's really good at pointing out things they can take away, but those are all really important to us continuing to grow and evaluate the program. Some years we have presenters that aren't available, so we have to make a change up there. We do occasionally change venues. We know a few venues that are really tried and true, and we really try to schedule around the venue and the speaker, but there are subtle changes every year And of course, what needs to be addressed can change year to year depending on just what the world looks like, what our region looks like, and who's in the class.
I know sometimes people might think, well, Susan goes through this every year. She knows everything, but you yourself will take away something constantly
Oh my
from going
goodness.
through this.
Yep, this is my seventh year. I just can't seem to get it right, I have to keep taking the class over and over. No, I love the class and I take something away from every session. And that largely has to do with who's in the room. Because I get to hear different perspectives about how they're receiving the information. And that helps me to, really think differently about, or at least consider whether I want to think differently about some of the things that we're talking about. The class projects are really interesting again this year too. And one of them that I participated in just within the last couple of weeks is the Philosophy Circle. So we have a group that was interested in gathering people to have deep conversations. I've been able to participate in two of those sessions. I missed two, and they're having a public session. I think it's a week from Saturday. That'll be at the Transit Building at 6 o'clock, and they'll have a speaker that night. You can find more information on our calendar. But really interesting to sit around at several tables with some people I knew and some people I didn't know and talk about. In this case, we talked about place. What is place? How does it matter? How does it influence you and how do you influence place? So big question. We had some really meaningful conversation done very respectfully and kind of guided. So I think that's something that will continue beyond this class. So things like that can be new to me, and really stretch me too as a leader.
Why should a business really consider sending somebody into the leadership program? Registrations are available. You're set to go for this fall. What's the pitch?
Why should they do it? Well, I think, consistent with what we hear all the time from our businesses, we want employees, we want people working for us and with us that are problem solvers, that are good at working in teams, that have good work ethic. They show up, they do what they say they're going to do. All of those Venango ready attributes, and those are all modeled through the leadership program. We talk about them, but we also give anyone that's going through that class the chance to exhibit those traits, to grow those traits, to work with others. And then we give them tools, everything from starting off with some team building and personality testing, things that they can take right back into their business and use there or use for their personal leadership journey. So I think it's a great investment. It lets your employees know that you care about them, that you care about how they develop professionally. And again, they might bring some things back to you that are extra added value.
Absolutely. And something you said before, it doesn't just apply to the workplace, but a lot of these things also apply in your personal life. So,
yeah, well, I know that for me, it's really important that my employees are involved in the community. I can't mandate that. I can't make them do that. But I know that when they're in a community that they enjoy being a part of, that they're invested in, and they're contributing their own time and sometimes dollars, that's a community they're going to want to stay in. They're going to want to add value to. So this program also introduces them to opportunities to do that, to be more involved in their community, formally or informally. And so if you have employees that you want to keep here, you really want them to stay in our region and stay with you, this is a good chance to let them know that you want to invest in them becoming more rooted into the community.
That's great. Let's do this real quick. You're watching The Morning Drill on Stream TV and on the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel. Susan Williams with us here this morning, President and CEO of the Venango Area Chamber of Commerce. You got some great events coming up, and as we head into May, you're getting closer and closer to Oil Heritage Festival.
We are hitting it. I'm telling you, it's kind of funny because we've been getting calls for the last 2 or 3 months from people, particularly that want to be craft vendors or food vendors or are interested in what we're doing. And we're like, well, that's a little ways away. We're dealing with other things. Now we're like, it's not a little ways away. Now we need to know. So give us a call if you're someone that wants to be involved in this year's festival in any way. And that includes Oil Heritage and Cranberry. Yep. We're really trying to be proactive about planning for both of those, summer and fall events, because they do take a lot of planning ahead. And particularly when we have community partners, organizations, businesses that want to be involved, they need to mark that on their calendar. They need to, perhaps plan from a budget standpoint. So we're doing everything from our outreach for sponsorships, but also, planning where and when things will happen, who's going to be there, who we need as volunteers. And before Oil Heritage Festival, we have our golf outing. So, some of that on a more mini planning happens for golf too. So we do need volunteers there. We need sponsors. We need golf teams. So we've already had a couple sign up. So, and then during the golf show, well, not during, prior to the golf outing, we'll have the business trade show. So we are looking for businesses that want to come to Venango between 9 and 11 and participate. We had, I think, 17 businesses come and table last year.
Wow.
And they have the built-in audience of each other for really business to business networking. They also have the golfers as they arrive who come around and can see what kind of businesses they have. And then we do open that up to the general public and to our membership to stop by between 9 and 11, see what's going on. And then if you're someone that wants to stick around and golf or you want to volunteer with us, you can do that. But you can also just move on. You come in, network for an hour or so, and then go on to work. And we've had a great run of beautiful weather. Venango is a fabulous place to start your day. We'll make sure the coffee's hot.
What tips would you have for somebody that might be interested in the trade show? Like, I'm sure some people have asked you, what should we bring to this? Or, because you're capturing that audience right then. Do you have some advice for those who might be thinking about this?
Sure. With the luxury of a little planning, or perhaps it being something that people do frequently. At the basic, you want to have some materials and or some branding there to bring with you. So some bring a branded tablecloth or a backdrop or brochures. Often at a trade show, you have some giveaways, something people can take away that they're going to use, like a letter opener or a pen or a fan or, something that people can remember your business. And but business cards for sure. But the very, very most important thing to come to bring is, knowledge of your business and a smile. Get on your feet, be willing to talk to the others that have tables and, approach people, be approachable. And that's who we want to do business with. So be well prepared to have conversations with the people that are there and approach them if they don't approach you. Be ready to answer questions. Or, if someone comes to you and asks you a question about your business, your products or services you don't know, be quick to tell them how you can follow up with them.
And I'll ask you sort of the same with Oil Heritage Festival. If businesses are trying to figure out how to be involved, what to sponsor, again, that's a conversation you would love to have with that business, where you can say, "Here's what we do," and maybe we think your business would be best for maybe these events.
We would, and to tell you the truth, I believe that Tessa, I saw on the copier, Tessa just developed a really nice information sheet. I'll talk to her this morning about where that is and where that's going, and if we can get that online and available. But it's a great sheet that tells you how you can be involved in festival. And there are so many ways, from literally being involved in helping plan some kind of an activity or event at your business or in the community, to just simply making sure that your storefront is clean and that you are well staffed for people that are stopping in, that you have the things that people want, that you're ready to have consistent hours. Or if for some reason you have the kind of business that just is better to close during festival, it's unusual, but there are a few, that you make sure that people know how to get you when you're back open. So that sheet has a lot of tips for how people can use festivals and events to benefit their business.
And then before wrapping up here this morning, sometimes I think some people think, oh, I have to have a business in the community to be a member of the chamber. But you could have customers, you could have other vendors you work with outside of that area.
Yes.
Why should people look to become a member of the Venango Area Chamber of Commerce?
Well, if you want to be connected with other businesses and customers throughout our region, It's a great place and a very worthwhile investment. It is a low point of entry to be a member of the chamber. As I was I was sitting counting and getting our numbers for the post office for the newsletter. We mail a lot of newsletters outside of our region and a few out of state.
Wow.
So those are businesses or organizations that know they want to be connected here. They either have potential customers, or maybe vendors, other vendors. We love it when businesses do business with one another. So it's a really good way to stay connected. Also, they do have us as staff to support them. So, we would never turn anyone away from trying to provide them information if they're not a member. But what we know is when we have a member relationship, they're hearing from us on a monthly basis with emails and if nothing else, when they get the newsletter in their hand, it's a reminder to them that we're here and ready to help them. It's a reminder to them that we need good updated information. So we're really proud of the fact that we do a really good job. I think we really work hard to make sure we know who the businesses are, what their proper address, who the contacts are, and keep that information updated. So those are things that if you think are important and you value and you want a team that's ready to support you in business, we'd love to be your team.
Susan, great to see you this morning.
Great to see you. Hope I get to see you next week. And as always, people can drop by venangochamber.org and they'll find every way possible in there to get a hold of me or to get by our office sometime.
A real quick 101 steps.
101 steps, but the prize is at the end. Come see us.
Thanks, Susan. Take care.